Friendships have always been the one area of my life where reality didn't meet expectations. This was definitely my fault. I watched way too much Friends, and I was quite naive in thinking that the relationships I saw on TV and in movies were what made a good friendship. But my biggest mistake and false belief about friendships was believing that a good friend was one where you could tell them everything. And the thing is, I actually did have a friend like that, but even that friendship didn't last, and that truly baffled me. It was the one friendship that most resembled the idealistic views I've always had about friendships, and it's really made me think about why friendships and relationships, to be honest, fail, and it's made me reassess the way I trust people. So now I actually have more friends in my life. I would actually say that since leaving school anyway, this is the most content I've been with friendships as an area in my life. But even though I do have these friends in my life now, I don't want to tell them everything. And does that make me a bad friend? I don't know, maybe you'll think so. But there are just some things that I want to keep to myself. I don't want to tell my friends everything that's going on in my marriage, because to me, that's between my husband and I. I don't want to tell my friends the moment something bad happens, because sometimes I do prefer dealing with things on my own rather than having to listen to the well-intentioned advice of others. Maybe it sounds like I have my guard up and that I have some serious trust issues. But the thing is, I feel like I do trust my friends. I also trust my family, but I don't tell them everything either. So anyway, then I came across a framework by Brené Brown on trust, and it explained everything to me about why friendships or relationships fail and what trust really means. It's called braving. Instead of trust being about telling someone something, it breaks trust down into 7 elements. The 7th element is my favorite, but let me talk you through all of them. I think opening up to people and giving themselves a part of us to keep safe is beautiful, but I also think we should value ourselves to know it's okay to keep parts of ourselves safe with just us. Just because you're in a friendship or even a relationship, it doesn't mean you can't respect your own needs and your own space. And this is even with simple things. Like, you should be able to tell your friend that you don't want to do anything this weekend because you have no energy, rather than having to come up with an excuse. This is all about doing what you'll say you do. So if you tell someone that you're going to call them after work, it means you follow through with it. But it also means not overpromising things. And I think this is where a lot of us go wrong. So I always thought a good friend was the one who told me that she would always be there for me. I mean, that's what we want to hear, right? And yeah, their intentions might be pure, but realistically, it's not possible. Your friend might have a lot going on. So when they're not there for us, even though they said they always would be, that's when you start to feel really disappointed. And that's why I think good friends are real about what they can do and reliable with the things that they say they will do. One of my previous friends and I were both people who were really strong-headed, and we found it really hard to admit when we were wrong. So whenever we argued, it was honestly horrendous because we would go in circles. But there's something so liberating about owning up to your mistakes, apologizing, and actually taking responsibility for things. You definitely have to let go of your ego here, but I think it's the only way where we can have a healthy friendship or relationship. It means that we can actually grow together. So this is what I thought trust was solely based on. I thought it was about telling someone something and having faith that they wouldn't go share it with someone else. But the thing with a vault is it has more than one door. That person also shouldn't be telling you things that were shared with them. It's so easy when someone talks to you about other people. You immediately feel close to them because you feel valued that they're telling you. You feel almost relieved that they're not talking about you. And it's just so easy to bond with someone over not liking someone else. Brené Brown calls this common enemy intimacy. But if your friend is talking to you about someone else, how do you know they're not talking to that person about you? And do you really want to be friends with someone who shares something that's not theirs to share? Values have really become such an important part of my life as I try to move away from goals and just chasing more. And so equally, I don't care about what someone does, I care about who they are. So this idea of integrity is all about whether someone has values and whether they act in alignment with their values. We're always being told that, you should make friends with people who have common interests as you, but do you really want to be friends with someone who has the same interests as you if they're a bit of an arsehole? In any friendship or any relationship, you should be able to ask each other for what you need without feeling judged for it. So that means if you need space, you can tell them without being judged. If you want to stop drinking alcohol, you won't be judged. If you want to start your own blog, you won't be judged. We should be able to create that safe space for each other. Okay, so this is my favorite element of braving, and it isn't just about giving time or gifts to our friends. It's about being generous with our assumptions of other people's intentions. So, for example, let's just say that your friend hasn't called or made any effort with you. Instead of jumping the gun and being like, oh my God, I deserve so much better than this, and giving them silent treatment back, you instead speak to them and say, look, it means a lot to me when we make the time for each other, but I know you care a lot about me and you probably have a lot going on, so don't worry and don't feel pressured, but I'm here. I think that in any friendship or relationship, things aren't perfect. We won't always live up to each other's expectations, and I think that's why having generosity in our assumptions about others is so important. I think it's the one thing that can really help us from preventing miscommunications that lead to a huge fight. And it prevents trust from being this really fragile thing that's easily broken. This framework isn't a checklist for you to find the perfect relationship, because I don't think that exists. But it might help you to understand why your friendship isn't healthy or why your trust has been broken. I always had really idealistic views of friendships, and that prevented me from having healthy, lasting friendships because I valued the wrong things, like going out with each other all the time or being on the phone for ages, telling each other everything. We can only have real friendships and real relationships when we have realistic perspectives of them, and I hope braving gives you that.